We'll do the anatomy review.
The urinary system rids the body of waste materials and controls the volume and composition of body fluids. Highly specialized cells in the kidneys are essential to these processes. Your goals for learning are to review the anatomy of the urinary system, particularly the kidney, to examine the vascular and tubular portions of the nephron, to compare and contrast the specialized cells of a tubular epithelium, to review the unique structure of the juxtaglomerular apparatus. Here's what you need to know. The structural characteristics of epithelial cells. To see definitions of terms, click the bold red words. The urinary system is composed of paired kidneys and ureters, the urinary bladder, and the urethra. Urine is produced in the kidneys and then drains through the ureters to the urinary bladder, where the urine is stored. Urine is eliminated from the body through the urethra. Now click a kidney to take a closer look at its surrounding structures. Here we see that each vein-shaped kidney is embedded in a fatty adipose capsule. The kidneys are retroperitoneal, lying against the dorsal body wall in the upper abdomen. An adrenal gland, which is part of the endocrine system, lies on top of each kidney. Several structures enter or exit the concave surface of the kidney at the renal hilus, including the ureter and the renal vein, which drains into the inferior vena cava. To learn more about the kidney's blood supply and see the underlying renal artery, click the left renal vein to remove it. When the renal vein is removed and the kidney is shown in frontal section, you can see the deeper renal artery and its connection to the abdominal aorta. Branching from the renal artery are the segmental and lobar arteries. Together, these vessels provide the kidneys with a rich blood supply under high pressure that allows them to continuously filter and cleanse the blood. Now click the left kidney to take a closer look at its internal structure.
Have you noticed something wrong there? Look at the renal artery. Is it renal artery or renal vein? So, that is the, this is, follow my arrow, this is the renal vein. Do you get that? This renal vein is connected. This renal vein is connected to the inferior vena cava, but this renal artery is branched off from the abdominal aorta. Okay?
Internally, the human kidney is composed of three distinct regions. The first region is the outermost layer called the renal cortex. It contains about 1 million nephrons, the filtering units that form urine. Some of these nephrons lie completely within the cortex and are called cortical nephrons, while others lie in both the cortex and medulla and are called juxtamedullary nephrons. The second region is the middle layer, called the renal medulla, in which you can see the triangular renal pyramids. These pyramids look striated because of parallel bundles of ducts carrying urine from the nephrons. The areas between pyramids are the renal columns. They are extensions of the cortex that provide a route for the passage of blood vessels and nerves to and from the outer cortex. The third region includes the funnel-shaped renal pelvis lying within the renal sinus. The renal pelvis collects urine from the pyramids and conveys it into the ureter for passage to the urinary bladder. Click the nephron to see its structure in greater detail. Here you see a juxtamedullary nephron. The nephron is the structural and functional unit of the kidneys. It consists of a specialized tubular structure and closely associated blood vessels. We'll first trace the blood flow to and from a nephron. Recall that blood entering the kidney through the renal artery flows first into the segmental arteries and then into the lobar arteries. From there it enters the interlobar arteries, the arcuate arteries, the small interlobular arteries, and the still smaller afferent arterioles, which empty into a capillary bed called the glomerulus. Leading away from the glomerulus is the efferent arteriole. Notice that the afferent arteriole is larger in diameter than the efferent arteriole. Blood passes from the efferent arteriole into the peritubular capillaries and vasa recta. From there, blood drains into the interlobular vein, flows into the arcuate vein, and enters the interlobar vein, eventually reaching the renal vein. Now click the nephron to see its tubular structure. The tubular structure of the nephron is relatively complex. To simplify the diagram, click the nephron again. The expanded cup-shaped end of the tubule surrounding the glomerulus is called the glomerular, or Bowman's capsule. Water and solutes pass from the blood into the glomerular capsule and then flow into the proximal convoluted tubule, or PCT. After many loops and convolutions, the tubule straightens out and fluid flows down the descending, or thin segment of the loop of Henle into the medullary region, and then up the ascending, or thick segment back into the cortical region. From the loop of Henle, the fluid then enters the twists and turns of the early and late distal convoluted tubule, or DCT, eventually emptying into a cortical collecting duct. This duct extends into the medulla, forming the medullary collecting duct, which carries the urine through the tubules of the renal pyramids to the renal pelvis.
So remember that cortical collecting duct is not a part of the nephron.
The next several pages will follow the flow of fluid through the nephron and discuss the unique characteristics of the specialized cells in each segment. Click the glomerular capsule to examine this initial segment in greater detail.
So what I was telling you, cortical collecting duct, one cortical collecting duct will receive several DCTs, several distal convoluted tubules from several nephrons. Okay? And then several cortical collecting ducts will join to form the medullary collecting duct or papillary duct. In your book, this is termed as papillary duct. Okay? So here you go.
The glomerulus, with its larger incoming afferent arteriole and smaller outgoing efferent arteriole, is nested within the glomerular capsule, something like a fist thrust into a balloon. Together, these structures are called the renal corpuscle. The visceral layer of the glomerular capsule is made up of specialized cells called podocytes, which surround the permeable capillaries. Between the visceral and parietal layers of the capsule lies the capsular space, which collects the fluid and solutes being filtered from the blood. Now click the box to see an enlarged view of a glomerular capillary. Here we see a glomerular capillary in longitudinal section. The endothelial lining shows small openings called fenestrations, which allow for the passage of water and solutes, such as ions and small molecules. Now, as the capillary endothelium is completed on the screen, you can see the fenestrations more clearly. The porous basement membrane encloses the capillary endothelium. Surrounding the basement membrane is a layer of podocytes. These cells have large leg-like extensions, which in turn have small fringe-like extensions called pedicels. Pedicels from adjacent areas interdigitate loosely to form spaces called filtration slits. Substances being filtered must pass first through the fenestrations, then through the basement membrane, and finally through the filtration slits and into the capsular space. Together, the capillary endothelium, basement membrane, and podocytes make up the filtration membrane. Click the button to see a photomicrograph of a glomerular capillary, or click one of the layers to review its structure. Here is a photomicrograph of a podocyte overlying a capillary. Extending from the podocyte cell body are leg-like extensions containing the fringe-like pedicels. Notice how these extensions and pedicels wrap around the capillary and interdigitate to form the filtration slits. Now click the button to